Good evening, and welcome to the Monday, January 13, 2020, 6 p.m. regular meeting of the Bell Gardens Successor Agency to the Community Development Commission. The meeting will now come to order. Tonight's invocation will be given by Pastor Reynaldo Leal. Would you pass it? Yeah. Well, do you mind doing your invocation? And our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by our City Manager, Michael O'Kelly.
Let's pray. Lord, thank you for allowing everyone present to meet again, to discuss every matter with open mind, and enable us to unite our differences and uphold the rights of others. May our decisions bring truthfulness and blessings for the future and for the betterment of this community. Amen.
Amen.
Please face the flag, place your right hand over your heart, and say the Pledge of Allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Agency Secretary, will you please call roll as successor agency?
Yes, Madam Chair. Agency members Arcesino,
Present.
Marcela,
Present.
Rodriguez,
Present.
Vice Chair Flores,
Present.
and Chair Cortez.
Present. Public participation is now open. Agency Secretary, do we have any speaker cards?
Not for this item, Mayor.
Seeing that there is no speaker card, so there's no objection by agency members, I will now close public participation. We will now move to the consent calendar. Does any member of the agency wish to pull any item for separate discussion? Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve the item on the consent calendar?
I'll motion that.
I'll second. Is there any objection by the council? Seeing none, the motion passes unanimously. Executive Director, will you please announce and introduce discussion item number 2?
Thank you, Mayor Cortez. This item seeks approval of the recognized obligation payment schedule, also known as ROP, for 2021 and the July 1, 2020 through June 30, 2021 administrative budget. I'll turn it over to our Administrative Finance Director, Will Kaholo.
Thank you, Mr. Executive Director. Good evening, Madam Chairperson and members of the Successor Agency Board. Tonight we're presenting the ROC 2021, which is part of the dissolution process of the former redevelopment agency. Just a brief background on February 1st, 2012. All redevelopment agencies were dissolved in California, and successor agencies were created and tasked with winding down the operations. The dissolution process of the former redevelopment agencies consists of paying all RDA obligations via the ROPs, which we're doing here tonight, disposing of all of the assets and properties that the former redevelopment agencies accumulated, and managing projects currently underway, if any, that were done for Bell Gardens. So the ROP 2021 is for the period July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021. On the ROP, we list all of the successor agency obligations that need to be paid. Approval of the ROP begins with the successor agency, moves on to the County Oversight Board, and ultimately ends up with the State Department of Finance. The County Oversight Board will meet on January 27th. The ROP will be presented to them again on that date. And the ROP is due to an approved ROP is due to the Department of Finance by February 1st, 2020. On this ROP, these are kind of our standard obligations that we pay that we approve on a consistent basis annually. We have the bonds that the successor agency issues, so we have to continue to pay the interest and the principals on the bonds. We have the 2005 series and 2014 series, A, B, and C. There are trustee and reporting costs related to the bonds, so we need funds to pay the trustee and for reporting on the bonds of $26,000. We do still own some successor agency land, so there is maintenance on that land. So we we're asking for $15,000 for that successor agency-owned land, and to help us dissolve of our successor agency-owned properties, we're putting $50,000 in there to engage a property dissolution consultant. And then additionally, the city had loaned the RDA millions of dollars. There's a repayment process for the successor agency or the successor agency to repay the city. Based on that calculation, the city is owed over $1 million for this ROPS period. Prior to that principal payment, the outstanding balance on that loan from the city to the successor agency is about $13 million. Interest accrues at 13% simple interest, and as of June 30, 2019, that interest was up to $14.2 million. 20% of the repayment gets deposited with our low mod fund housing, which is restricted to low mod purposes, and it accrues simple interest at 3%. And then lastly, as the successor agency, we're allocated $250,000 for administrative costs. So in conclusion, the ROP 2021 for the period July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021 has enforced qualifications and admin allowance equal to $3,870,559. The First District Oversight Board is scheduled to meet on January 27th, where the ROPS will be presented for approval. And then once approved by the successor agency and the Oversight Board, the ROPS will be submitted to the Department of Finance in order to meet the February 24th hearing. That concludes my presentation. I can take any questions that you may have.
Is there any questions from the council? Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
And I'll go ahead and second. Is there any objection by the council? Seeing none, motion passes. It's just report that Mayor Pro Tem was not here to partake in the vote. Public participation is now open. Agency Secretary, do we have any speaker cards for this portion?
Not for this portion, Mayor.
Perfect. Seeing that there's no speaker cards, is there any objection by the agency members to close public participation? Hearing none, I will close public participation. Does any agency member wish to make any comments? Okay, if there is no objection by the successor agency, I will now adjourn the successor agency meeting and call to order the city council meeting. So, good evening and welcome to the Monday, January 13, 2020, 6 p.m. regular meeting of the Bell Gardens City Council. The meeting will now come to order. City Clerk, will you please call roll of the City Council?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Sotelo.
Present.
Barcena.
Present.
Rodriguez.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Flores is absent.
No, she's not absent.
And Mayor Cortez.
Present. City Attorney, will you please give the closed session report, and then we can note that Mayor Pro Tem just stepped back in.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. The record should reflect that the City Council recessed into closed session to discuss items 1 through 3. With respect to item number 4, this item was tabled and therefore the City Council did not discuss this item in closed session tonight. Concerning item number 1, the City Council received an update on this matter from outside legal counsel Gary Basio. No action was taken by the City Council tonight in closed session. As such, there is nothing further to report. The record should further reflect that Councilmember Rodriguez did not participate in closed session during the discussion of this item. With respect to the remaining items, all members of the City Council were present for the discussion. Concerning item number 2, the City Council received a briefing from outside legal counsel on this item and did not take any final action. As such, there is nothing further to report. Concerning item number 3, the City Council received a briefing from the city's designated representative, negotiator, as indicated on tonight's agenda, but did not take any final action in closed session. As such, there is nothing further to report at this time on this item. Thank you.
Thank you, City Attorney. Before I move on, I do want to go ahead and briefly read the statement that I prepared for today. It has come to my attention that there is concerns with regards to my stand on immigration. As mayor to this great city, And more importantly, as a trusted immigration advocate in my community, it is important to clarify this, as to not allow rumors to continue festering possible fear and uncertainty with our residents. I have been an ally and an advocate for our immigrant community since I was in high school, and I think many can attest to that. Passing petitions in support of the DREAM Act here in these same council chambers in 2010, I have gone to Sacramento many times to lobby for the DREAM Act and have held or volunteered for dozens of immigration workshops. All this before I became a public servant. Over 10 years of dedication. Now, as a public official, I continue to hold workshops, connect our residents with resources, while also advocating for the immigrant community. It goes without saying that I am an advocate, an ally, a fighter, and I have, do, and will continue to stand with our immigrant community, our dreamers, and our most vulnerable group. And I think the same goes for our police department. But if anyone has any questions and wants to sit down and talk about this, please do reach out to me, and I will more than gladly sit with you and show you my extensive curriculum when it comes to our immigrant community. Para nuestros hablantes en español, solamente les quiero reafirmar que yo estoy a favor de nuestras comunidades, de nuestras familias, de nuestros dreamers inmigrantes. He estado peleando por ellos por los últimos 10 años, más de 10 años. He basado mi carrera en el trabajo que hago por nuestras comunidades indocumentadas. Y por eso el día de hoy me estoy tomando el tiempo de clarificarlo, para que no haya miedo en nuestra comunidad, ya que muchos han confiado en mí para traer recursos de inmigración. Y por eso me he tomado el momento de clarificarlo. I just reiterated the same points I made in English, but in Spanish. Now, moving on to our agenda, with this in mind, there are several items on our agenda that I do not feel comfortable discussing today, because they were added very last minute, and I didn't have time to prepare, nor do I think most of my council had time to prepare. Because when I met with my city manager this week to discuss our agenda so that I could be prepared, these items were not added on there. And therefore, because there's such sensitive issues, not because I'm shying away from the conversation or because I have anything to hide, but rather because I'd rather have an educated conversation with my colleagues with regards to these matters, I do want to seek the support of my council to table items 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23, as well as item 12. Because at this moment, I do not feel that there was adequate preparation from our council to discuss these items, and some of them are very sensitive to our community. So I would like to make the motion to table the items that I just mentioned. May I have a second?
Antes de que se haga la moción, yo quiero hablar con nuestro público. Esta es un intento a evadir los problemas, evadir y no hablar sobre las conspiraciones que en la actualidad están surgiendo contra nuestra comunidad. Sí, estos problemas que dicen que no han tenido tiempo de hablarlo, son problemas que están dialogando ya fuera aquí de Belgarde, como por ejemplo las tiendas de marihuana que se están proponiendo a través de ciertos concejales. Claro que lo van a negar. Claro que lo van a negar, pero están diciendo que no han tenido tiempo de hablarlo y dialogarlo, cuando ya han tenido más de un año de tiempo para hablar sobre los temas, por ejemplo, lo que es la alta velocidad, lo que es el marcar de los estacionamientos que se prometió que se iba a hacer hace un año completo, sobre la marihuana. Se prometió que iban a proteger a esta comunidad de esto. Díganme por qué no se mírenla, ¿por qué se está hablando de esta comunidad? ¿Cuánto más tiempo necesitan para dialogar y hablar de un tema que ya está afuera? Nos está afectando nuestra comunidad, está afectando nuestros niños, nos afecta siempre que salimos. Y quieren traer, ellos no quieren hablar sobre qué, sobre un tema que ha existido, que existe, que es vigente. ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué hay miedo? Porque les voy a explicar el por qué. Ellos no quieren tocar sobre este tema. ¿Por qué? Porque les voy a hablar ahorita de lo que va a pasar, para que entiendan ustedes la urgencia de querer posponer esto para después. Hace aproximadamente 2 años, año y medio, yo pasé por una crisis familiar. Pasé por problemas muy personales que me afectaron de una manera horrenda. Ahora puedo hablarlo, En aquel entonces ni me podía sentar aquí sin querer llorar. No podía sentarme aquí ni mirarlos a la cara. Mi familia se me estaba desbaratando. Me diagnosticaron con depresión, con ansiedad. No sé si alguno de ustedes ha sufrido de eso, pero es una enfermedad que a ti y a uno lo deshabilita por completo. ¿Qué es lo que me pasa? Empecé a faltar juntas. La actividad que ustedes sabían de Jennifer Rodríguez se paró.
Madam Councilmember?
No, I'm going to continue. No, I'm going to continue. I'm not going to stop.
Can we just get to the...
No, I'm going to continue. Me quieren callar.
We're going to go ahead and take a 5-minute recess. Thank you.
Esta es la manera de callarme. No quieren que siga.
Mozo te vale. Votamos por ti para nada.
¿De qué sirve que paguemos tanto?
Exactamente.
¿De qué sirve? ¿Dónde nos representan?
Exactamente. Personales, ¿qué es lo que están representando?
Nuestro presupuesto.
¿De acuerdo a la droga?
La droga es la que quieren
¿De
traer.
acuerdo?
Es la que quieren traer.
Aquí las mordidas que les van a dar.
Exactamente. Exactamente.
La comunidad y mucho dinero para el
No quieren que hablen, no quieren estar. Van a cancelar la junta para que no se oigan. No se vayan, que hablo con ustedes. Y les digo lo que digo.
Aquí nos
Quiero
quedamos.
decirles algo. Yo estoy completamente en contra de la marihuana. Inclusive le han puesto el nombre de recreativa. Eso es destacar cuando han visto, si conocen la palabra recreativa, ¿saben lo que es? Recrear sus niños, llevarlos a los parques, llevarlos a los cines, llevarlos a eso, no ponerlos marihuanos. Esto es lo que están poniendo recreativa.
Quieren callarnos, quieren que supuestamente se implementen una regla que ella puso para regular el concilio, para que el concilio no les pueda decir lo que realmente está pasando.
¿Y eso no nos pagan nuestros impuestos?
Con ellos, en el bolsillo.
Creíamos en ustedes.
Exactamente, yo también. Nos engañaron a todos, nos engañaron a mí. Ellos prometieron que no iban a permitir este tipo de actividad, este tipo de negocio aquí en esta comunidad. ¿Y qué es lo que están haciendo? Lo están negociando ya. ¿Quién me lo dijo? Me lo dijo Marcos. Me dijo Marcos Bárcena, que había tenido juntas con Alejandra, que Mario Beltrán, la persona que es responsable por todos lados, que está pasando en Monterrey. ¿Yes?
What I would recommend is this is a public meeting, and we have business that we need to get through. Let me just say this, if we're unable to do the business of the city, we have the right to clear the room and conduct the business that needs to be done. I don't want to...
Entonces lo que voy a hacer en este momento, porque no quieren que se queden records, les voy a pedir a las personas que están opuestas a esto, me quieren callar. ¿Por qué me quieren callar? Porque no les conviene. Mira no tienen. ¿Qué les pasa? Déjenme hablar. Déjenme hablar. ¿Qué reglas de todo? Si ustedes son los residentes, ustedes son los que votan. ¿Por qué me callan? ¿Por qué? Porque saben que lo que voy a decir es cierto.
Habla, Jenny. Sí, porque no les conviene. No les conviene hablar del tema.
Okay, members of the audience, members of the city council, I think, Mayor. If I may, I think everybody's had an opportunity to say what they want to say.
No,
We also have We're gonna be Please clear the room at this time.
Me voy. Vámonos.
Tanto que prometen, la pata ganamos.
We can just get everybody to step outside, please, for a little bit, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Can you make sure this is part of the record? If there's anybody here from the media, you're allowed to stay in chambers while we conduct the business of the city. So if there's any media here, you can stay. But you need to show your credentials to the police chief. Everybody else needs to vacate the board. Thank you.
Everyone else, unless they have including any reps, counselor, and the board, thank you.
Staff, please. And City Clerk, if you could indicate for the record that there were at least 5 or 6 warnings to members of the audience not to disrupt the meeting, and every single one, nobody adhered to the request, and therefore we had to clear the room in order to conduct business. Also, make sure that you could note for the record that it doesn't look like anybody here is from the media. But we did advise the room that if there was anyone here from the media, they were welcome to stay. So, Mayor, at this time, let's reconvene the meeting. I believe the motion, there was a motion made by the mayor to table items 12, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. There was a second by Councilmember Barcena, and we need to have a vote on it.
That also included, item number 12.
Correct, I said 12.
Can we, take a roll call, please?
Councilmember Campesino? Barcena?
Voting, yes.
So there's,
Yes.
you right there, there's one. Is that it? Mayor Pro Tem.
So we're taking a vote to table which items? Because 3 of those items are.
Sure, Mayor Pro Tem, items 12, and then 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23.
Item number 17 is mine. So not-
18 and
17.
18, 19.
17 is mine. 18 was for the people here, but only here, so you can take that one out. And then, you can fill the rest, they're okay.
Pardon?
So my motion is to table the rest of the items with 17 still on there. So that was the item that is for,
We have a motion on the floor.
I don't need a second motion.
So do you have to vote yes or no on this motion? motion, and then you can make your second motion after,
Okay,
if there's still grounds for it.
go for it.
So it's the yes or no.
Can you do it over?
Yeah, what I would recommend is, we have a first and a second on the floor, we need to deal with that first.
Yes, which we are.
And if it fails, then we can consider the next motion made by Mayor Pro Tem.
So now I'm inquiring, Mayor Pro Tem Flores, do you, want to table these items? What's your vote, yes or no?
Yes, with the exception of 17.
And that's a no vote by default, Rick?
Yes.
So she would be recorded as a no.
And Mayor Cortez?
Yes. So therefore, the motion stands and the items are tabled. Therefore, there's no, we can't entertain a second motion. Mike, these meetings are recorded, correct?
Yes.
And then, if I may, Mayor, members of the City Council, City Clerk, what I would recommend is if we could get a transcript of what just occurred so that we can make sure that that is part of the record, because we're going to need to make sure that what occurred here tonight was enough to clear the room, which I believe that it was in my legal opinion, because as I indicated before, we gave repeated warning to members of the public to be quiet so that we could conduct the business, and they failed to do that. So I want to make sure that we have a recording of and a transcript of everything that took place. Thank you.
If I may, Madam Mayor, do you need a translation of the portion of
She didn't have
Councilwoman
time to interpret.
Rodriguez's? I didn't have time to interpret. Once we went off the record,
Yeah.
I stopped taking notes, but while we were still on the record, I can interpret.
You can make, why don't you make that part of the meeting minutes, but that doesn't need to be part of what I was just referring to.
I don't do any minutes, so if you need to talk to the.
Okay. So why don't we have what was said translated into English and incorporate that as part of the minutes,
Okay.
okay?
Now, can we also add the clarification where, City Attorney, you were trying to prevent any items that we discussed today legally from being discussed, and that's when this chaos ensued? In terms of when I made the comment to you with regards to her statement, it wasn't to stop her from talking because I had already spoken, so I was gonna allot that for the rest of the council, but just to make sure that we weren't speaking with regards to the whole case and pending case that we still have ongoing. And that's where the rest ensued. I want that, clarification on the record.
So did you want it now?
No. And I would also note for the record, City Clerk, I just want to make sure we have everything down as part of the record tonight. The Brown Act under 54957 does allow for a legislative body to clear a room in the event that the room is uncontrollable and the legislative body is unable to conduct business, and that's exactly what happened here tonight. The only caveat to that is that you need to allow members of the media in the chambers as the business is conducted once the room is cleared. So I want to make sure that we put that on the record as well. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're now gonna go ahead and move on to consent calendar. Actually, public hearing. Do we just bring that back? There's a public hearing for the 2019.
I don't know, one in the,
If I may,
Community Development Director Romo.
For the building code, we have to adopt before the end of January, which means the second meeting would be the 27th, unless you want to have a special meeting.
Yeah, so we're gonna go out and have to call a special meeting. Do we need a motion, to give a?
Can I, Mayor, before you make that, yes, is there any reason this couldn't come back on the 27th at the regular schedule meeting?
Well, we would have a second reading,
Okay.
which,
It's necessary to know that.
we need a motion, to table the item?
Just direction.
Okay, so direction to table the item, and we'll go ahead and, call a special meeting.
That was item one, and item two.
Why don't we table both public hearings, because I do want members of the public to comment on those two. But let's go forward with the consent calendar.
Yeah, City Manager, do you have a report, or do you want to do it?
I'll wait for a report, thank you.
Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and do consent calendar. Is there any member of the council wish to pull any item for separate discussion? Okay, seeing none, may I have a motion to approve the items on the consent calendar?
Motion.
I'll second. Is there any objection by council? Seeing none, the consent calendar passes. City Manager, will you please announce the discussion item number 13?
Thank you, Mayor Cortez. This is an annual item that comes before the council, to review external committees that the individual city council members are appointed to. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. There is information attached as to the current organization of the delegate and the alternate in your agenda packet.
Perfect, thank you. So as done before, I'm just gonna go ahead and take commission by commission. At this point, I would like to nominate myself to become the delegate for the California City Self-Reliance Joint Powers Authority. May I have a second?
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Councilmembers Constantino,
Yes.
Barcena,
Yes.
Rodriguez is absent, Mayor Pro Tem Flores,
Yes.
pardon,
Yes.
and Mayor Cortez.
Yes. Okay, so that passes unanimously. I would also like to appoint Marco Barcena as the alternate. I'll move.
I'll second that. Very briefly, do you think maybe we can do any necessary changes all at once and then
Okay.
have a vote for those changes? Would that make it easier?
Yes, we can go ahead and do that. So as of now, you can just know I'm nominating, Mr. Marco Barcena. And then just any ones that are contested, then those will take individually. I would also like to nominate, Councilmember, Pedro Tituno for the Gateway Cities Council of Government.
I'll second that.
Do we need to take a second, or we're doing it once the motion?
My apologies, go ahead.
Okay. I would also like to nominate, Councilmember Barcena for ICA, Independent Cities Association. And for the alternate for Independent Cities Association, I would like to nominate myself. For the League of California Cities Los Angeles Division, I would like to nominate Councilmember Barcena. And as the alternate, I'd like to nominate Councilmember Aceituno. For Sanitation District, as the alternate, I would like to nominate Councilmember Barcena. So as the Sanitation District, I'd like to nominate myself. Okay, perfect. Okay, so then, with the exception of sanitation, if I could have a motion to approve the rest of the nominations?
I'll motion that.
Okay, I'll second, and can we have roll call? And this is with the exception of sanitation.
Mayor Cortez,
Yes.
can you repeat those to make sure that I have them all right?
Or you read them to me, and then I'll tell you.
Okay. For the California Cities for Self-Reliance Joint Powers, Cortez, Mayor Cortez,
Yes.
as the delegate, I didn't get the one,
Alternate Barcena,
Barcena? Okay.
and then if you go down to number 5, for the Gateway City Council of Governments, Pedro,
Tituno,
yes, for delegate. If you go down to number 8,
Barcena,
Barcena and Cortez,
alternate Cortez?
yes. If you go down to number 9, Barcena and Aceituno,
Okay.
and that's as far as we're gonna do the motion, so I moved, and Marco moved, I second, and then we'll do a roll call up to that point.
Okay. Councilmember Tituno? Councilmember Barcena?
Yes.
Rodriguez is absent. Mayor Pro Tem Flores?
Yes.
And Mayor Cortez.
Yes. So now we have, seeing there was 3 votes, that passes unanimously. Now, the other change was, I nominated, so we'll take it for nomination, I nominated Marco for alternate, and the other one's mayor automatic appointment. So I'll go ahead and, I made the motion, I need a second.
I'll take that.
And then, can you take that to a roll call?
Councilmember Alvarado?
And which one is this?
Sanitation?
For the alternate.
Yes.
Councilmember Rodriguez is absent. Mayor Pro Tem Flores?
No.
And Mayor Cortez.
Yes, so that motion passes, and I think with that, we finalized, unless my colleagues have
another nomination for Siaka. I'll nominate myself and also the alternate, Councilmember Artizumo.
For what number is that?
That's number 12.
Okay, so there's a motion, now we need a second. Seeing that there's no second, the motion dies on the floor. Any other changes? Seeing that, we have concluded with this item. Thank you. So at this point, we do have the proposed Independence Day celebration. I'm not sure if council would like to discuss this at this moment, or maybe when the public's allowed to be here.
Mayor Cortez, I think with city council's advice, we're inviting anybody who will be non-disruptive action for items number 13, 14, 15, and 16. That's two motion items.
Are we going to invite everybody back in?
Well, so what we need to do is we need to make sure whoever comes in and wants to make public comment isn't going to disrupt the meeting. If anybody's going to come in and disrupt the meeting, then they need to be escorted out.
Do they already have had to fill out a speaker card, is the question?
Yeah, let's keep it to that.
All right, so what names do we have on speaker cards that are good? That would be easier to let go.
For, agenda items,
For 13.
Rosalio Rodriguez. And then, for Maria.
What number are they?
Maria Garcia for, agenda items.
Because we already did. Yeah, we moved already over that, so anything for 13.
But then we have to make the same, we can't say, you know,
Yeah.
if we're gonna allow some to speak, they all have to speak. So even if there's one of them, they should still be able to speak.
So if it's the certain items for two.
That's the safer thing to do, is to allow people to speak, as long as they're not going to be disruptive. So I would let them in one by one.
So we'll take agenda comments first.
Are we gonna hear anyone speak?
So we have to note on the record, Councilor Artizumo is leading 6 right now.
So let's, how many cards do you have, city clerk?
Are we gonna allow the agenda items only to speak, or is that already gone?
How many speaker cards do we have in total?
2 of those, and then non-agenda items, there's only 3.
Okay, let's have everybody who submitted a card
The agenda
come in and speak.
Some of them are items that were tabled.
Yeah, that's the question.
Oh,
So,
But
I'm
they
sorry,
don't
excuse
use
me.
something different, unless we're gonna.
that's fine. As long as they come in, right, and they're not gonna be disruptive, there's 5 cards, let's call those people in one by one, and we'll know for the record that we allowed them to come in.
We'll start with the white cards, the agenda cards, just to keep it in order, and then go with the non-agenda.
Maybe for items of the table. Can we just group them all because, under non-agenda items, maybe? Since they were tabled, they can still speak under non-agenda. So, because we're not at that point yet in the agenda, so we will not.
No, if you're gonna let somebody do it,
You do it now, so we'll move up the non-agenda.
I would do all public comment now.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and move up, but we're gonna let them know, well, just call them now, there you go.
Individually.
Yes.
Yes.
And then, just for the record, we're doing this under non-agenda items. Unless they're common pertains to, but I just let them know.
And we're doing this in between items number 13 and 14. Item 13 is completed, 14 is the Independence Day item.
So we have 14 and 15 now?
14, 15, and 16.
Okay.
These items later, I mean, if these were tabled to a future meeting, I think it sets our Independence Day item, if we're gonna do something for July, we should hear that item.
Then we'll just take it item by item and see if the council has any interest in discussing giving the special director any evidence. Just block that down, if you don't have any problems with the meeting. So as of now, we're gonna go ahead and note that at 6:43, Mayor Pro Tem is leaving the dais, therefore we have no quorum. So with this, I'm gonna go ahead and adjourn the meeting.
Due to lack of a quorum.